Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well on this Wednesday morning, afternoon or evening across the world where you may be at. And today I'm going to be bringing you this article about Dover Athletic Football Club, who are a non-league football club in the UK. They're based in Kent. This article is about their autism sensory room they're going to be opening on the 4th of November. The article was written by Bob Dale on the 10th of October for BBC News. This is a BBC article. I know a lot of you don't like the BBC. I don't particularly like them myself, but they are working with me with regards to my autism and poetry work. But that's my own personal perspective and friendship and relationship with the BBC on my end at my local BBC station. But I want to bring you this article today to talk about it. And I think it's a really good positive story to bring to you. And yeah, let's look into it. So it says, at a glance, the club is to open a sensory room for autistic fans who find the noise of a football crowd overwhelming. The non-league club is following in the footsteps of several league clubs. It was in response to a suggestion from a fan who had a young autistic son. The room will be open for the club's fixture on the 4th of November. Let's scan down. Dover Athletic Football Club is creating a sensory room for fans with autism. The room is a quiet space which provides relief from the noisy atmosphere of a football match. Several league clubs have installed these such rooms, including Brighton and Hove Albion, with Dover's plan to open in early November. The room was created after fan Patrick Verrill, whose 7-year-old son is autistic, contacted the club. Mr. Verrill, who is also chair of the Dover Deal and Sheepway branch of the National Autistic Society, said a drum being played in the crowd caused his son to become upset on more than one occasion. He said as soon as the drum was hit, hands over his ears, he couldn't handle it. We moved and he calmed down, but the next week the same thing happened, and it was even louder, and he could not handle it. The reaction was quite severe. Even a picture of the football pitch will now upset him. So this is the picture of the sensory room, as you can see here on the screen, that Dover Athletic are setting up for autistic fans. I know this is obviously catered towards children, but they have to remember there is autistic adults that will attend these matches and the grounds as well. So I think they need to be putting some things in there with regards to autistic adults as well. Maybe offering a match day pack with headphones and other things such as fidget spinners and little handheld like fidgets that they can use, like the tangles and stuff that you can get from various websites, which I'm not going to promote. But this is the picture of the sensory room, which I think, to be honest, is very, very lacking. I'm actually quite disappointed that they've put a thin little blanket, a little space hopper, a ball, and some books, and it looks like a few board games, and a little mat to sit on, obviously with the benches as well, which is great, but it's still not enough, in my opinion, for that. Mr. Verrill put the idea of a sensory room to the club, who handed the project to Community Engagement and Inclusion Officer Vicky Pawley. An unused room is now being prepared ahead of the club's fixture against Hampton and Richmond Borough on the 4th of November. It will be equipped with things that provide a calming environment, she said. It will be an ongoing project. What works for one person might not work for another. Okay, I'm glad that they mentioned that. That's great. That shows that they really are thinking about inclusion and differences and different people. That's excellent. Excellent. Mr. Verrill said that the news had been greeted positively by other members of his branch. I've had messages saying, I can bring my other child, or I can bring my child for the first time. So, yeah, this is basically what the article says. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for the article. So I'll scan back up. But yeah, that's the guy and the child who are asking for this sensory room. But I think it's a really good way to include people and to make sure that they are aware of autism and the sensory element that can come with attending a football match or a sports arena in general. I think for autistic people, the loudness, the crowds can be a trigger. And for me, I do like going to football, don't get me wrong. I've been to a few football matches in my years. But I think having a sensory room like this for even autistic adults would be great, because it gives us a way to relax and to self-cope and to self-stimulate and to self-soothe. so we know we don't have to be stuck in that noisy environment all the time. Also, I think it's a really great way for other people with disabilities, not just with autism, but epilepsy or spina bifida or cerebral palsy or any form of disabilities that need somewhere to go, to have a breather, to have a relax, to get away from the stimulating noise, the crowds, because it can get quite loud to the point where there's people pushing and shoving, trying to get in and out of the stadium during breaks and such. I think this is a really good step forward for inclusion with regards to disability, especially hidden disabilities that aren't often noticed or known how to respect them or to talk to people. This is a great step forward to doing disability awareness, disability inclusion. I think it's a really good way of interacting with disabled fans, people who may have not attended a football match before or are thinking of it, or in the past who have felt isolated and couldn't attend because of their disability, because there's nowhere for them to go. So I think this is a great step forward in engagement, not just with the autistic community, but the autistic community, mental health community as well, because again, this sensory room could be used for people with mental health as well. So I think this is a really positive step forward for all of us to work together and to effectively communicate. I think this should be done across the board, not just non-profit clubs, not just non-league clubs that are not famous. Like, it should be across the board, Premiership, Championship, clubs that are higher up on the chain. I know my local club, Ipswich Town, does one, and I will be talking about that at another time. But this should be across the sports board. It should be not just football arenas, swimming arenas, cricket arenas, places that are public interest and public facilities that are sports related. And I think if we get one club to do it and then it spreads across the mission saying, hey, this is how you can interact with autistic people, this is how you can interact with people with disabilities, get the ball rolling across the whole sporting arena, you'll have more people with disabilities who are able to come to these arenas and enjoy themselves and enjoy the experience and the environment, rather than being isolated or being told, oh no, probably not a good idea, or they choosing not to come because of their situation or their disability, of how it impacts them. But I think this is a really good start to having that ongoing conversation, that ongoing discussion of how to make disability work within the local community. So let me know what you think down in the comments. I will link the article down below in the comments section for you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.